So what I'm going to take you through first, and just FYI, there's a little UniPhi Comms survey there for you guys to answer at your leisure. I'm just going to go through sort of how we understand the workflow of document collaboration in construction and infrastructure projects specifically, but any type of specification needs to be shared in any type of environment, and there's always a challenge around that. How we see it happening at the moment and where we see we can fit in very easily, and then also potentially then looking broader at replacing some of the processes and systems that are being used currently. But in this one, we're really, as a first step, looking to fill a fragmented issue within the industry that is looking at lots of different applications that are being used to try and collaborate and get comments back on design and specification documentation. And so we've tried to, and the way that's come about is literally just chatting to people who are doing this sort of stuff and seeing some of the spreadsheets that they create to help coordinate this information flow and thinking, okay, there's some things we can do here. So to put that into context, I'll just show this little diagram here. What we've got is up the top left, the geniuses of design working with great new ideas and innovation on components of a project, whether that in any sort of sector. But if you just look at it as construction infrastructure now, some design engineers coming up with designs for roads, buildings, energy projects, you name it. Now they're doing that in their own environment with their own software and their own design software, but then collaborating around, sharing that. And there's some possible opportunities there that we're exploring with some companies, but essentially what we're saying at the moment is that's left alone, that's happening as it happens now. And then what they need to do is release that information to the broader team to get feedback. And this is where things start to get a little bit less, a little bit more friction comes into it. And so typically there'll be some sort of document collaboration tool that they would publish this into. And so that's a little document icon you've got up here on the top right. All of the people that aren't in that design team that need to provide feedback and review that information are in different organizations, they're in different roles, and they're going in and downloading the files onto their own systems, which could be a Dropbox environment, a SharePoint environment, or a file share environment, and then reviewing that information, collating all the comments into a spreadsheet, and then sending that back to the design team. And it's in this section that we think we can provide some benefit, and I'll sort of focus on that. I'll also look at the transmittal section, that first section that gets from the design team out into the document collaboration systems that exist at the moment. But the first part of it is like how we can help within that commentary phase. And one of the things, so again, there's two levels to this as well. One of the things that we're trying to encourage people to do is to re-engineer process and distribute the data capture of comments within the UniPhi platform, rather than have a centralized commentary collation process where you might have a workshop. It could be a combination of the two, by the way, a workshop to get the comments into the drawings and into the files, and then they get extracted into Excel or into our system. You can kind of do a bit of both, is what we're pitching. So that's the landscape. That's the sort of environment. What we've found is a lot of people will tell us they're part of the wheel. So the design team will tell us they're part of the wheel, and the document controller in the document sharing system will tell us that part of the wheel. But then there's always these bits outside when we talk to project managers or other consultants or clients. And there's BIM obviously, but a lot of people's challenge to actually access a BIM system and understand it and be able to contribute and collaborate in that system. And so there's still these gaps that we think we can fill as a first pass. All right, let's get into the demonstration. All right, so this is a little dummy demonstration environment. This imaginary world is a UniPhi platform used for a major project rather than a portfolio project. Functionality is the same, but just the projects are called activities, and we've got WBS structures here with parent-child around work packages and then activities. So I used this to demonstrate the rates webinar the other week. They're going to do this to look at the file collaboration. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop into a package and an activity that has a bunch of drawings that we need to, or specification documents, or whatever files you like, to distribute to that collective group of disparate companies and people. And so selecting that activity, I'm now going to browse across to the documents module. And the first thing you'll see is there was never a sub-navigation for documents before UniPhi 20, there now is. So the way we've done that is UniPhi documents are still UniPhi documents, and we've called them that. So UniPhi generates content, and one of the ways it generates content is through the documents module, creating invoices and instructions and transmittals in this sense and things like that. So then what we did is we created a sub-navigation called files. So these are external files that you're going to dump into UniPhi to manage and work with. So my first part to get files into the system is to click on this sub-navigation. Then if I'm the design team, this is me issuing out a revision or the first draft of a series of designs and specifications for people to review. And they will have their naming conventions and everything else around that, and that'll come out as typically as a PDF, and they'll drop them into the system here against this package. And so that drag and drop has then brought in an interface to update that particular list. You can just dump these in, export out the metadata into a spreadsheet, update the spreadsheet, import it back in, and it'll update all of this. So if you had like 100 files here that you needed to do, you could do that. For this demonstration, you can see it hasn't, these documents don't exist in the system. So it's the new revision A1. You can put your own extensive descriptions in there as well, and create your own custom metadata fields, as many as you like, to put extra pieces of information around these files. And so these are just dummy ones that we've set up to capture that information against these files as a first pass. And so these files are now in UniPhi. They are, all of the metadata that we captured is being displayed. You can configure what fields are going to be displayed. So if you had more custom fields, you would be able to display them into the screen dynamically as well. And like all the other tables in UniPhi 20, this comes with the feature of being able to filter on particular fields. So if I wanted to see just electrical, for example, I can filter on that, and so on and so forth across the range. You'll see that there's a status here pending transmittal, and we haven't transmitted this to anyone. We've just file uploaded them into the system. You'll see there's also another sub navigation here, and this is something that we're looking to use to resolve that disparate collection of comments. As these haven't been transmitted yet, it's unlikely that there would be any comments against the PDFs, but it would be possible for a design team to comment against drawings within their own team and specifications, and then have those comments in the PDF get annotated into UniPhi as a register. So if I go to the annotations here, you're going to see that there's a couple of comments that are being made against these PDFs. And some things about them, you'll note that the comment comes under the field called annotation. And so I'm going to download this PDF and show you it in a minute. And you'll see when it was created and modified, and you can put color coding on the annotation, and then you can potentially use that to filter out. So you could decide what color schemes you want people to use: red, yellow, green, so different levels of commentary. You can also educate people around some nomenclature that the system will pick up. You can see that the comment was written with priority medium, timeframe 30th of November. It automatically put that into two custom fields that have been created against the annotation called priority and timeframe. And so later on, when we get more comments in, you can then start to filter on these sorts of things and do stuff to it. Now, just to see how that came about, if I open up the original file, oops. So if I do this electrical specification one here, it's basically just taking the commentary that's being made in the PDF. It'll identify which page it was done on, and then you can see the priority colon, medium, timeframe colon, 30th of November, and then the comment review layout. That's what was picked up when uploaded into the system, and that's how that annotation came into here. And so there is a possibility, therefore, to say anyone can come in here. You would kick off the design review process, and they could come in here, download the file, comment on it. And then if I was to add another comment on this now, save and upload. Oh, not into there, back into the files. What it will do is it will keep the revision the same and create just an additional version. So it's not a new release of the drawing or specification. It's just a new version of that with additional comments. And so in our idea, it'd be possible for you to have a team of 20 people, let's say, 100 people, doesn't really matter, all download a version of that PDF, all make comments on it, and all upload their comments. And that would mean that you'd get 100 versions of revision A. Now that's a little bit, loose for some people. That's something we'd need to work through from a change management perspective. But you can see now that there's version 2 in the system. And if I go to annotations, that extra additional text comment is now in for us to review. When they're in here, I can start to do things with them. So this one here has a review layout. I could kick that off as an issue by ticking on this, clicking new issue. And if it was more problematic, like, there was a clash or something, you could document that in proper details and, specify it up and assign it to someone. And now that's going to go into our issues system as an issue with a due date to track out. And it'll always link back to this document when I go into that issue. That'll be there to see where the comment came from. That comment that was made is in the comment system of the issue as well when we go across to the issue system. And so that review layout is there with the information in the issue with the related document and the comments is the intent. Didn't actually occur there, but we'll deal with that later. So back into the document system now, I've got the ability to do those issues, to do that metadata tagging. Again, I can download this layout up, access it in Excel. You can see that I haven't got discipline and issued reason there. I can either do that within the system or I can come in to Excel and enable editing, update the information, and then just copy that into here. And it'll then update all of the metadata on those with by looking at the version ID or the file number. If you haven't got the version ID for the first time you've uploaded, you can then validate that that's all good, hit save. And now I've got my electrical for review information should have been updating into the ABC01 MNO electrical specification. In theory. So now what I want to do is I actually want to transmit that to the audience. So that was the design team collaborating within the system itself. I now need external people to know that there's a finalized revision for them to come in and do their own commentary. And the way we do that is if it was all of these documents I need to transmit in one go, which typically it would be, I can even transmit across packages. If I go to the parent, I get all of them and do it, but I'm guessing, and again, you'd need to work up your own workflow so it'd be package by package. But you could do a broader one if you wanted to. And then once you tick that, you've got this create new document icon appearing. And within that, you can, UniPhi will come out of the box now with a sort of standard transmittal template. So by selecting transmittal category, there's only one at the moment, selected that automatically. And this is going to be the UniPhi document component of this particular collaboration. And so again, you can edit these to be what you want, but we've come up with some ideas around how you would structure up the transmittal. And so you've got some summary header package around the transmittal. You've got the distribution, who you're sending it to. So you'd be ticking the relevant people there. I just want to get down to this one here. These are the files that you're transmitting, and you can see that it's got the same information that we had in the other one. Another thing is once you start using this, you can start to do integration with other parts of UniPhi and say, okay, this particular release of specifications and drawings is addressing these issues that we collaborated around from the last release or from the first design phase. And so that's going to be linked into the transmittal for people to say, okay, how do we actually resolve that issue in the documentation? And then what I can also do is kick off an overarching design review workflow. So if I come in here and do that, I can select the design review workflow that I've created, which you can configure, classify it with however you want to classify it and give an overall owner to it. And then when I save that, you can see that it's come up with these 4 actions and assigned them with due dates for people to do the review. And so that's going to go out with the transmittal, but it's also going to be within UniPhi. You're going to have those due dates. People can come in and see what they have on their task list and action that. And so now what I would do is actually email that out as a transmittal. And when I email it out, you can see that it's already selected the people I sent from the distribution. We're upgrading this interface a little bit, but at the moment you would just tick the embedded text, because what that does is it sends it as an embedded email that people can then just click the download or click on the issues, and that'll take them into the system. Now, what we've got at the top here is a filter on licensed users. That'll lock in on the transmittals. So transmittals can only go to licensed users. You need a license to access the actual information, but there is a document review license. So you can set someone up with a document review license. That is a free license, and they would be able to just download the files. They wouldn't be able to integrate with the issues and collaborate around issues management, but they would be able to access the files. The next level up is team member, and that means they can do all of that as well. That is a paid license, but the document review license is free. You set people up with that, they'll appear in this list as being licensed users, and you can then email that transmittal to them. So when I hit send, a few bits of functionality then come off the back of that. So I will get an email come in. Just bringing that across so you can see it. And because I embedded the email, it comes in with all of this information embedded into the email. I can click this link. We're looking at optionally hiding that because some of the feedback said, but I don't want that. That takes you into the UniPhi document, but this is the UniPhi document. These are the files here. And this is the issues that we've reviewed, and these are the actions that people need to do. So all that information has been transmitted through. This is in Outlook. And then if I just go back into the system now, and I go to my refresh my files screen, what you'll see is under the status, it now says transmitted. And there's a few things that are icons over here that are of interest. The first one means that there's actually comments, there's annotations against that file that I can click on and go and see, but we've kind of already seen that and done that. This will show you the different revisions and different versions. And then this one here will show you that what's the status of this transmitted to the people that you transmitted it to. So if I click on this particular transmittal history record, you can see that Jane Smith, Joe Bloggs, and Milo Minderbinder from Cash22, the capitalist dude, have all been sent that email, but they haven't actually done anything with it yet. Now, if I go back to this email and click download, that's now downloaded a zip file of those 3 files that exist within that. And if I come back to the transmittal, because I've done that, I've now registered as downloading that. And so you can track whether people have opened and viewed the document, whether they've downloaded the files, etc., for the transmittals that you've sent out. Which, apparently people try to challenge that they never got the thing. This will tell you whether they have or not. And then obviously you would get that feedback back from them. Again, what you could encourage them to do is to download the PDFs as I just did, comment on them, and then upload them back into the system. If they do that, then your annotations are going to expand and your comments list is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can start to, filter on that, kick off the issues like I did before, and collaborate around those. And all that would happen is you'd get 100 versions of revision A. And then eventually the design team would respond to all of that. They come up with a new release. And when they come up with that new release, they come into the files again. And what they can do, so there's a few things we can do around the drawings that we're going to be collaborating with people who adopt this with. Taking out the content from the drawing itself, the various drawing information. Taking out the references here, so ABC might mean something, MNO might mean something, mapping that into human readable lists. So ABC might be ABC architects. And so therefore that they would become extra fields in this register. And then what we already have done is if you underscore B the files and you drag those back into the file section, it'll automatically recognize that and revision up the drawings list. So it's superseding it with a new version, but it's also revisioning up these and saying they're the next round of ones. So the way I see the comments section is it's kind of like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 of that revision as people feedback information, additional prototyping. When you've got a finalized revision that needs to be reviewed again with all of that feedback incorporated, you then revision up the drawings. The new revision is uploaded into the system, which you can then transmit. You can see that it's only showing the latest revision in the system. They're all pending transmittal now. That icon there gives you the revision history, but in this screen, you're just getting the latest revision, which again, you would then transmit, as I did before, out to people to review, download, and start to comment. And so, yeah, that's the workflow, that's the collaboration ongoing. In that revision B, we got a few more annotations coming in. So we're now getting revision B had some more annotations coming in, so we've got more information. Yeah, as I said, the ability to filter on that. And once you filter, also the ability to search. So if you, it's a combination of the two, using parameter-based filtering and searching for text that exists both within this screen, which obviously has comments that relate to the PDF, but also within the PDF itself to find text that's based within the PDF. And so, yeah, that's the sort of quick run through. A few things around the way this then got set up in the configuration engine. I'll just check there've been a few questions. So the thing about this is they need to have a license. So so this is an answer to Anyan's question about access. When you transmit out and you do that email step, the only people available in that distribution to select here are people with a license, and therefore they will get links to download. So that's still downloading from UniPhi, but it's connecting to UniPhi and downloading. They can also view the document as a document reviewer. They could click on that link, and that would take them into the transmittal as it looks like in UniPhi, which again has the email that was sent out, but also tracks who's viewed it within here. And then that way it'll never go out as an attachment. It'll only ever go out as a link for people to click on to then download from the system. But emphasizing again that the document review license is free. You just need to manage that collaboration. It also enables us to track who has done what in that environment. Now, in terms of setting all of this up, there's a few things to be aware of. In the documents module under configuration, there's now a few options. If you don't want open slather to that file upload screen, you can define a role here, and the ability to upload files into the system is limited to that role. So if you've got a doc controller that you want to control the uploading of revisions to and make sure that the file naming is right and that there's no chaos, you would create a doc controller role. Could be at any level here, and you would, so even a team member would be able to do that, and you tick contract and hit save, and therefore only people in the contractor role on the activity would be able to upload files. So that's the first bit. Then you've got here the ability to create as many types of other bits of information that you want to capture against files. You can, including the types of data types that you can capture against them. So dates, lists, numbers, text. If it's a list, you do need to go and create the list first. So you'll see these two were lists, but they had to exist in the configuration custom list section. So do that first, then create the fields. And then the same with annotations. You can create as many custom fields for the annotations. That's the comments that are being made in the PDF. And then that nomenclature where you go priority colon and then do that will come in as text or a date for the time frame. And again, it's the same. Click the button. You've got the data types there and the field name that you can create. So that enables you to create your own bespoke drawing register, file register system. And then in the template for the transmittals, this is the drawing transmittal that I used to email out the transmittal. There's a few enhancements coming to this already based off early feedback, but you can see the default user filter is licensed user. That'll actually be locked off when, oh, sorry, I should have shared the design review. So this is creating the transmittal sequence number. This is the header information that goes into it. This is the distribution of who to send it to. But then this one is new. So this is the transmittal layout that enables you to add in fields that you think you want to have in your transmittal file register that will go out when you email out the files. And so once you've selected that layout, it limits the transmittal to those who are licensed, so that you don't have any accidental trying to email large amounts of files to someone that are going to then render as a PDF. Traditionally, if you emailed out of UniPhi a file and the person didn't have a license, it would go with its native attachment as a PDF attachment. And obviously, if you've got 100 of those and they're large files, you can't do that. And that's what we're solving here. So to limit that risk, you can once you've selected transmittal, if you selected the normal file default, it would happen where it goes as a PDF attachment instead. And so then there's the 2 extra issue enhancement bits that I added, where you can click related issues, or kick off a workflow where people are going to know what actions they need to do and by when. And so you will need to configure that. All new deployments will come with this template configured by default, but any existing templates, any existing clients will need to create this transmittal register when they've upgraded to UniPhi 20, and we can assist with that. We've also got an automatic naming methodology that's using template variables to document a number. This is the transmittal number and the UniPhi unique ID reference number that has the UniPhi transmittal in it. You can create your own versions of that, and have that spit out as the transmittal document name when you're looking at it in the UniPhi system. So I expected that was possibly going to take longer than it did. So we did book a whole hour for this session, but I've gotten through it maybe a little too quickly. But that's the workflow and the sort of outcomes of the file collaboration work that we've been doing. So now you've got one transmittal document in the system. You've got a series of revision B files, and you've got annotations that go across all of those, but you can always just filter for the latest and see the latest around the comments for those revisions that you've just released. You would go to the issues system to track how people are going on the design review, whether they've done their tasks or not. They can then add extra comments to that. This is the link to the transmittal that was sent to them. Project manage away, live in the system, follow up, write comments, they get notified in the UniPhi notifications. And I think it's quite exciting. As a new piece of functionality, there'll be some enhancements that we'll rapidly apply. Thanks to Enion, we've already applied a few of them. Hopefully I covered them off in that presentation, Enion, because they were definitely enhancements that you gave us as part of the Bleeding Edge program that you do for us. So thanks for that.
Yep. No, that's good. I like the fact the links, because before they were just coming through as just embedded files, and they were just enormous.
Yeah. That's because they weren't licensed. So by limiting the view to only licensed users, you can't accidentally do that now. It was a bit tacit. You had to know who was licensed and who wasn't.
Yeah. I'd like to now go from the Bleeding Edge to the to the full bottle on 20, because this is good.
Well, we'll get you upgraded, mate, and get it done.
Thank you. I think what Kevin said is right. It's a game changer. This has been always one of the sort of key issues, and because people don't always want to commit to big lumpy systems like Aconex, and certainly when you're doing that sort of early design development before you go into sort of contract, the ability to be able to sort of manage and control things in an environment like this is really really important.
Nice. Well, hopefully we can get it going on your project as a good way to get out the rough edges.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anya. All right, guys. Recording of that ends the UniPhi 20 series. There are recordings of all 3. If you missed out on one, you can request access to that via our website. Go to the webinars link and submit a request to get that access to the link. Check in with Grace, Raj, Murray, Andre, whoever else is internally managing your UniPhi deployment to get 20 up and running, and to give us the feedback. And hopefully it'll be something you can utilize. We'll send out newsletter next week with the once a month webinar now. We won't bombard you with weekly ones anymore. Anyone want a certain topic covered, feel free to contact us about that too. And we'll decide what the late September webinar will be, and we'll send out via the newsletter next week. Thanks for dialing in.